Ohio State, I was going to show the video, but I don't think people really need to see it. One thing I will say is let's get through a couple things here. So what I'm going to share is this is basically like a message to anybody out there, especially if you're at Ohio State University. So if you haven't seen it yet, there was a video, there was a professor, I think he was doing a speech at a graduation at Ohio State. And he was talking about inflation. He was talking about losing the purchasing power of your dollar, how it's impossible for students, anybody really, to get ahead right now in the fiat world. Made a lot of sense. But halfway through the speech, when he introduced Bitcoin, the crowd started going, they started, talking amongst themselves. Some people were booing once he mentioned Bitcoin, which was very surprising to me. But at the same time, not very surprising, because these kids they grew up in a system, their public school system. They went to school. They did everything that they're supposed to do. They probably amassed a huge amount of debt to go to school. And what nobody's really willing to say out loud, including their professors, including their teachers, their friends, what nobody's really willing to say out loud is that the majority of jobs that they're going to university for aren't going to exist in 10 years from now. And that's a pretty tough reality, I think, for a lot of kids. I think that kids in that age especially, they're going into a very dark place right now. And I mean, if you think about it, think back to when you were 22 years old. You get through college, you hear, the big American dream, you go through school, you want to get a good job, you want to get a house, you want to get a nice car. You go through that route. And along the way, you have a few beers, you probably get a boyfriend, a girlfriend. You're probably not spending a whole lot of time learning about Bitcoin, right? That wouldn't be the crowd that I would expect to be embracing Bitcoin, because they've gone through the full system of fiat. They've gone through the full system of everybody telling them how bad Bitcoin is. And it's the people, their high school mates, the people who didn't go to college or university and started doing their own thing, working a job, starting their own business. They've been the ones who have actually embraced Bitcoin, not the ones that just went to school, paid $100,000 for a diploma that they're not going to be able to use in 10 years. Those aren't the people who are embracing Bitcoin right now. But the one thing that I will say here, and this is kind of my message to anybody else out there who is going through school right now, or if you have somebody in your life who's going through school, I'll probably clip this, but consider sending them this video, because it is important. So I got a couple things here that I want to just share, and then I'm going to give some ideas for students. So the first one is that Bitcoin provides hope. And if you are that age right now, you've gone through a pretty tough stretch with, the last 4 years with COVID. You got through school somehow, through all that bullshit. And the world's probably a pretty dark place for you. You got a bunch of debt. You probably don't have a job, and it is pretty dark place. You'll probably never be able to afford a house. I'm going to tell you with a pretty straight face, if you continue down that road, if you continue working and living in the fiat world, you're never going to be able to afford a house. Maybe a small fraction of a percent of people will, but for the most part, they're not going to ever be able to afford a down payment of a house. With Bitcoin, though, it's different. And this isn't my opinion. If you look at the last 10 years of housing prices in fiat, it's been going up. In dollars, it's been going up and up and up, making your life harder, and interest rates are going up and becoming more unattainable to you. But if you look at Bitcoin, the prices of houses are actually going down in Bitcoin. So you're in a place now where you're young enough that you can actually put some aside, and you can wait, and you can work, and you can contribute and add value to the world while holding some Bitcoin. And hopefully in the next 4, 8, 12 years, while the housing prices continue to soar, the housing prices in dollars continue to soar, it's going the opposite in Bitcoin. So if you could do whatever you can to get as much Bitcoin as you can right now and hold on to that for the next decade, you will be able to afford a house. And as I've said on the show, not only will you be able to afford a house, you're going to have the best house in town. Because the people who are still living in the fiat world and who are going to continue to go down with this financial ship that's sinking, you're going to be buying their house with Bitcoin, with a fraction of whatever Bitcoin that you amass. If you have a long enough time horizon and you're willing to work for it, you're going to be in a very good place. So Bitcoin provides hope in a otherwise very hopeless and dark world. The second one here is that Bitcoin frees you, liberates you. We're also heading into a very scary world of like control. The governments, the big corporations, they want to know everything that you're doing, everything that you're even thinking right now. And in that system, you're not going to be able to have a voice in anything. If you say something wrong, if you tweet something wrong, whatever that is, you're going to be punished for it. Not only by societal norms, but they're going to take away your account. They're going to shut off your bank and cut you off from whatever that you had till that point. And that's a very scary world. I think that the kids nowadays are kind of getting used to that, but it's not a place that we want to be in. And so with Bitcoin, with things like Nostr, you do have a voice. And with Bitcoin, if you're holding Bitcoin as your main asset, they can't take that away from you. They can't freeze your Bitcoin account. And so if you do believe that we're in a bad place right now and you want to start speaking up and doing something about it, you're going to have something like Bitcoin. Because the only thing that they've had on us for the last 100 years is that if you speak out or if you do something that they don't like, they can just freeze your bank accounts. If you don't pay your taxes, they freeze your bank accounts. With Bitcoin, they cannot freeze your wallet. They can't do it. If you do it properly, if you take the time to educate yourself and learn how to take self-custody of your Bitcoin, there's nothing that they can do to take that Bitcoin from you. That threat is gone. The muzzle is off your face with Bitcoin, which is very important. The next one here is that Bitcoin is totally voluntary. So when you're 20 years old, when you're 25 years old, the last thing you want to be doing is taking it, listening to other people. You think that you know it all at that point. You don't want to take any advice. You just do the exact opposite mostly of what the people you should be listening to tell you to do. So with Bitcoin, it's completely voluntary. You were born into a system of fiat where essentially the day that you were born, the American government or whatever country you're in has amassed so much debt that's on the back of you. I think it's like $250,000 now, that when you are born, you have that debt because of the government. Nothing that you've done in your life, but because the people that came before you were living in this fiat world and abusing the fiat world, they've amassed so much debt that that's on your shoulders now. And it's not something that you're ever going to pay off. So you're forced into that system. You have no choice. But with Bitcoin, there's nobody that's going to force you to do anything. Nobody's going to force you to buy Bitcoin. Nobody's going to force you to get a Bitcoin wallet. Nobody's going to force you to learn Bitcoin. It's totally voluntary. And so I think that most 20-year-olds or 25-year-olds would appreciate the fact that they get to decide what currency they use. We have the ability now. When I went through college, I did not have that ability, but we do now. So Bitcoin is totally voluntary. Bitcoin is security. So I saw a tweet today that said that the US plans now, 1 year shorter than originally expected, but the US plans on running out of their social security budget by 2035. And I know that this is a bit of a stretch in terms of will this actually happen or not? Who knows? But the path that we're going down with this debt that we've amassed, that people before you have amassed, you're paying for that now. And every time you go to work, every day you go to work, half of your day pretty much goes to paying off that debt. It's insane. And so not only are they paying down the debt, but there's older people who are starting to retire, and these countries have obligations to pay these pensions and these social securities. And so Bitcoin is security. You don't have to worry about whether your government's going to pay off their debt or have enough for you down the road. Just get rid of that idea. Get rid of the idea that the government's going to look out for you, because they're not. Ever. In any circumstance will the government look after you. And especially that's in 10 years from now, they're expecting to run out of social security. could happen sooner, it could happen a little bit later, but at the end of the day, you don't want to be putting your life's energy into a pension or social security that the government's holding for you. So Bitcoin, instead of sending, to your pension, instead of paying into that, set up a Bitcoin wallet, keep that wallet for the rest of your life. And I guarantee you, this is not any sort of advice or financial advice. I rarely say that on the show, but this is a guarantee. If you held Bitcoin in a wallet today, or if you had money in a pension today, I guarantee you that they both might be there in 20 years or 30 years or whenever the hell you're going to retire. But the Bitcoin wallet is going to have so much more purchasing power than your pension wallet, if you even get access to your pension or your social security. So Bitcoin is security there. In a very uncertain world, Bitcoin is security there. And so the next one here is that Bitcoin is just better. It's better in every aspect of the financial system, of the internet, of everything. Bitcoin is just better. And so I want to show you a video here. I think that most people, especially if you're 20, 25 years old, you spend a lot of time on your phone, on social networks and stuff like that. And you're posting pictures on Instagram, you're sharing stories on Snapchat, maybe some TikToks. And that world there is designed to take your data, take your information, sell it to other companies, give you nothing for it. And they just want you to continue feeding it. And what do you get for it? What do you get for a nice picture that you post, or a nice, a well thought out tweet that you had, if you actually want to be adding value? What do you get for that? What's a like worth to you? Just your ego? Quick hit of dopamine for you? Whereas the new world here that we're moving into with Bitcoin, it's different. If you add value, if you post a good picture that people like, make them laugh, a meme people enjoy, or some information or an instructional video on something, with this new internet, with Bitcoin, with micropayments, you have the ability to actually earn value from that, not just a like. And I think that as more and more people, especially that age, figure this out, everything's going to change, and it's going to change fast. And so I'm going to take a very short break here, and I'm going to show you guys this video, you guys and girls, this video. Stop sharing. There we go. Of what I'm talking about here. So like I said, you post a nice picture, you post a good reel. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example here quickly of my own life. So last night I posted this reel on Instagram, and it was about the golf we played on the weekend in Minot. And it already has 27,000 or 2,700 views, 40 shares, and 7 saves. That's on Instagram. And yes, I mean, it's building our brand, obviously, but what did I get for that? Fuck all. 90 likes. What is a like worth? It didn't show up in my bank account. It didn't show up in my Bitcoin wallet. What's a like worth? I just feel like our whole youth has been so ingrained to value likes, when really they're worth absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. So this is what I'm going to share here. This is an example of that. Instead of using an app like Instagram, why not use an app like Primal on a protocol like Nostr? So let's check this out here. This is a 1-minute video here about this guy here in Costa Rica. He made a post on Nostr. He earned sats from it instead of likes, and he actually bought tacos with it. So let's check this out. Hopefully things work.
He's super excited about this new social media network. Let me show you why.
We truly have micropayments on the internet for content. Finally, like, it exists, it works. People are receiving zaps and buying food with it.
So the guy who made Twitter, Jack Dorsey, is super excited about this new social media network. Let me show you why.
We truly have micropayments on the internet for content. Finally, like, it exists, it works. People are receiving zaps and buying food with it in places like Costa Rica, where you have circular economies. It's working today. So I can literally have a great post. I can get some zaps and I can get a taco down the street. I mean, it's here.
It's here. John, you want to get a taco?
Yes, sir.
Vamos. While John and I are on our way to get a taco, let me explain to you what the heck Jack is talking about. So zaps are micro payments of Bitcoin. Instead of just sending likes, you can send zaps to your favorite creators. Now, this is made possible because of an open protocol called nostr. Nostr is a fundamentally new way to do social media because it removes the single corporation in between you and your followers. As you can see here, this post got about 17,000 sats worth of Bitcoin, which is around 10 bucks. Let's go see if this can buy me a taco. 3 tacos de birria, por favor.
3 tacos de birria.
Sí.
Something to drink?
Nada.
Nada? Perfecto.
Gracias.
Permiso.
No. ¿Te puedo pagar en Bitcoin?
Of course.
So 17,432. I think that's close to the amount of zaps I got.
Yes, perfect.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Pura vida. Voila. Tacos bought with zaps.
Pretty cool, right? And I mean, it's fun to see that. It's fun to see the zaps, all these different things. But if you really think about what actually happened there, this guy made a post just like you do on Instagram, just like you do on TikTok, whatever it is. But instead of just getting likes and some shares for it and maybe some people enjoying it, he actually got real life value. And he went and bought tacos with that value from it. How many people have ever bought a taco with likes on Instagram before? I would wait. I think I'd be waiting quite a while for that. So the point there is that your stuff does have value. And right now, everything's just being drained from you. In this system of Bitcoin, micropayments of Lightning, all this integrates to make a much better experience for you with everything. Your data is valuable. Your attention is valuable. Your content is valuable. Whatever it is, if somebody else gets value from that, they should be able to send it back. And in the old system, in the legacy fiat system, we didn't have the opportunity to do this because you couldn't send 2 cents. It was impossible. The banks wouldn't facilitate it. Visa wouldn't facilitate it. It was impossible to send 2 cents worth of value. But with Bitcoin, with Lightning, you can. And this fella, he bought tacos with the Bitcoin-like version from a post. And so I just feel like there's so many people who have no idea that that exists. So essentially what he did there was with Primal, you can post, you can receive Bitcoin, and within that Primal app, you can actually pay for things. It has a Lightning wallet attached to it. So you can make a post, you can earn sats, and you can go out directly and spend it. And this will just continue to grow. The businesses that accept Bitcoin and Lightning will continue to grow. And so the best place that you can be right now is setting up for that right now. So there you go. Bitcoin is just better in every aspect. That's one, right? And I feel like 20-year-olds, they relate to that. I'm sure they have Instagram posts, Instagram videos that receive thousands of likes, just that generation. And why not actually get something for it instead? Instead of just feeding the beast, why not actually get something for you instead of that? So there you go. And I feel like, that's just one random guy on Primal. But imagine artists, like when the artists figure out that they can earn Bitcoin for posting songs and videos and content, it's not going to take very long for this thing to catch on. Just needs a spark. And we're working on it. So there you go. That's what I got for you in terms of the Bitcoin is better. I was going to go into a few different other things with that, but I think that's the main one I wanted to get across. And so the last thing here is that it started with Bitcoin provides hope. And I want to end it with Bitcoin is your only hope. Because the fiat system is dead. There's no person, there's no entity, there's nothing that can ever turn that around at this point. $35 trillion worth of debt, never coming back from that. So then you look at what are the options there. Okay, are they going to reset the currency, go to CBDCs, have control of your entire life? Are you going to hide cash under your mattress, or are you going to start buying gold? Your only hope right now is Bitcoin. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. And it's shitty to say that, but at the same time, thank God for Bitcoin. Thank God we do have something like that. Because imagine a world where we didn't have that. What would you do? What would I do? My world was very dark before I discovered, what's going on with Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin is your only hope.